Yep, it says we're on now. Usually when that marker comes, it means we are.
So we are live.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here it's still loading in. So theoretically we're live now. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us in this beautiful live event. Hello, thank you. Much love to everyone who is watching live, who is sharing their thoughts and feelings in the chat box. And a lot of love to all the people who are watching the replay too. Like if you have any questions or you want to share stuff, you can still do it in the comment sections. And I will try to answer them, or maybe it's like, if it's a more complex topic, then we can like make a new topic for the next live event. Basically, this whole thing that we're addressing today was inspired by a few comments that you have left, I think, last week or before that. Like many people were asking about these weird stuff that are happening to us, and people who don't really know what's happening can be very scary because you have all these weird symptoms, not just mentally or emotionally, but also physically. Weird stuff are happening because we're changing on all levels. And many of us like go to the doctor thinking that, okay, like something's wrong with me and fix me. And they don't find anything, basically. And like, yeah, we're going to share a few stories or what is happening to us right now. Also, like, please share your experiences if you're having any questions. Are you smudging sage higher vibrations?
Yeah, I always do before, and I forgot to. I didn't put myself in the space, so I needed to now.
I also had my orgonite with me for shielding from EMF. Always when we're using these transmissions, you have your own pendant too. I have mine too. This is also from Shungite, basically. Okay, so we have higher vibrations with us. And when we're going to reestablish connection, we're going to follow up on our conversation that we had earlier. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, MG, Janine, and also Jacaranda Marie. Thank you for being here. And until hopefully we're going to be able to reestablish connection. Although in the US, power cuts and internet instability is not uncommon. You're back. Okay, hello. And you're gone again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, like you're having problems with the internet again.
Yes. I showed you this and then you went away.
Yeah, I have mine too, although mine's kind of lost its color. I've used it so much. Okay, hello everyone. Hello Lisa, Zoa, and also Fenya. Thank you for joining us. If anyone wants to share something or have any questions regarding the topic of weird stuff happening to you, like people also call this like Ascension symptoms. Yes. That's like the general consensus in the new age community, like when you're experiencing these weird stuff, like these are symptoms that you're ascending, that you're becoming more aware of who you are. And yeah, like, do you want to share something higher vibrations regarding this subject right now?
Yes, please. Well, I would like to mention first off that a lot of these ascension symptoms that have been occurring more rapidly and intensely recently have been happening for quite some time. More and more as I look into it, the more I realize that we've been having these for years and years. But to just throw off a quick list of the most common ones that people are experiencing is the ear ringing and the dizziness and the weird sleep stuff, not being able to sleep or getting a lot of sleep, but still feeling that profound exhaustion. And like the vibration stuff that's going through our bodies, that's something that's been really common. A lot of people have been talking about, but most of it has been, I've noticed, activation kind of stuff. So like certain points on our bodies that are like, we have, I think it's 144 chakras that we are more aware of the 7. However, all of those other chakras have been available to us. We really haven't been accessing them. And at this point, we are being put in a space where we're able to. As these different symptoms and things have been occurring over my life's experience, I've been to so many specialists and doctors, just like a Guardian had mentioned, and assuming there's something tragically wrong, and I'm, and I was going to a place of fear with it, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually a good idea to make sure you are healthy and that you've done all your blood work and stuff, that, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Simply that whenever I have done so, they've always said that I'm in perfect health. However, I'm not somebody who chooses to take medication, especially needlessly. They a lot of times will prescribe or suggest medications that will make the symptoms diminish. And I have no desire to do that. You know, these things will pass. It is temporary. This isn't going to be how our life is. It's going to stay. And each time that these things happen, what's most notable about it is a lot of people are experiencing the same thing at the same time. And you are not crazy. Like, that was my biggest thing, is I thought that I was crazy. I thought that there was something like, there's a word for it, I can't remember right now, where someone who always thinks that they're sick all the time.
Oh, it's like hypochondria or something like
hypochondriac. Yeah.
Okay, so that's like the English version of it.
Yeah. And that was something that I was accused of a couple of times too. And it's not that I am looking for an illness. I am just having these symptoms that we have been taught that if these things are occurring, then you need to be aware of it and go see a doctor. I don't know if that is partly something because people have been ascending a long time and they've been trying to slow it down or something, who knows? But it's what's happening to us is, for the first time in the history of existence, we as a species are ascending in the same lifetime. Our physical form is changing. We are in a metamorphosis, much like a butterfly. The caterpillar is now in the cocoon, and we are experiencing this new change. And it's beautiful.
Very tiring too, because like we're going through so much stuff physically too.
Right.
And yeah, like we are doing overtime, especially like older people. Like we have been here for a few decades, and we have to play catch up with all the children that are being born right now.
Right. That is something else.
Here too.
Hi, Fritzy.
Hello.
That is something else too, is that it's been really cool to hear these reports. The scientists are actually coming out and saying, you know, they don't really, I don't know if they do know more than they're saying, but they're reporting that many children are being born with extra DNA, extra something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And these children, and you know, I've got these messages before, but it's so cool to have that validation in the science world. Not that I trust science all that much, but how they're saying, yeah, you know, every generation or every new grouping of children that are born on this planet are born more and more and more activated. And so they won't have to go through as much intense ascension symptoms as we are, which is awesome for them.
Yeah, like they can like already build on that foundation, and they're like that far ahead already. So they have a much stronger start, and like they also have like us, basically, like the people who have already made like the preparations and a lot of work on like making this knowledge knowable to people. So because like our generations, when we started out, especially before like the era of the internet, you haven't really had access to this stuff, and we're pretty much alone thinking that you're like crazy about these things. All these weird stuff are happening to you and you have no clue what is going on. And at least now you can like go on YouTube or whatever kind of social platform, and you can like connect with thousands, if not like millions of people who are going through the same thing. And there are like a lot of people or teachers who are sharing great stuff on like what is happening to us and what you can do with it. And like there's no need to be scared, basically, because it's completely normal.
And you know what's notable too is that, you know, we have, I'm sure most of you have heard that this term junk DNA. You know, we were born with all of this DNA already in our physical form. It's simply that it's not been activated. You know, I can't remember the percentage anymore, but
I think it's pretty big, like 90% or something.
Yeah, like a vast majority was considered junk. Like, not, I mean, how is that? Whatever. But so now we are in this space where those things that have been dormant are being activated. They're being woken up and inspired in us. One of the things that that has been the most shocking for me, and it was hard, it was easier to see it as an ascension symptom than an illness, has been my extreme change in diet. I was a full-on carnivore. There were times that I would just, that was all I was eating in a meal was, I'll have meat, you know, and like, yeah, you know, and I don't need any side stuff. And to slowly, and I'm not suggesting anyone have a specific diet. I'm not saying that to anyone. However, for me, I noticed more and more my body was unhappy with the things I was putting in it, you know, and was didn't want meat more and more and more, certain kinds of meat at first, and it turned into all meat. And now I'm at a point where I'm virtually a vegan, almost a vegan, you know, and I'll go through these periods of fasting that I'm gonna fast now kind of a thing. It's just, I'm starting to listen to my body, because my body doesn't want it. And when your body doesn't want it, there's like some kind of like
resistance or side effects. Yeah,
there's a side effect to it. And so sometimes I've gone for over a month without eating, you know, quite a few times, you know. I'm not suggesting that you do that either.
I only managed like 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Something similar.
Yeah.
It's pretty okay. Like, I wouldn't have never thought that it would be like possible, but yeah, it's doable.
Yeah. You know, and I right now I'm doing the juice thing. I don't feel like having any solid food, you know, and I've heard of people who have been vegans for, or at least vegetarians for multiple years, that have recently found all of a sudden the desire to have meat. And so they've listened to their body, and that's all you need to do.
Yeah, I started to eat fish in the past year.
Yeah.
And it's so good. I haven't had meat since like 2012, I think.
Yeah.
And I started to eat fish again. Yeah, probably like stuff. Yeah, like I guess like we're like creating new cells, or some new stuff are developing, and your body needs those proteins or that animal fat in order to create the new cells and the stuff that it needs, I suppose.
Right. Exactly. Oh, and something else that's been kind of fun to hear people talk about is that a lot of the people who are in this awakening and are aware of this awakening period space, a lot of them are noticing them. A lot of people in their lives are noticing more than they are actually, that they are looking younger and younger every day. They're feeling younger, but then people are saying that they are looking younger, you know, and like, it's something that I kind of gotten a message about a while ago, that everybody was supposed to kind of de-age a little bit. And then I don't really know, but that's kind of fascinating to watch that occur, you know. And it is very likely we're now that we're listening to our bodies and not putting things that we don't need in our body, as well as all the different toxins. And like, I mean, honestly, I was all about the fries for a lot of years, you know, where I was eating fast food fries a lot. And, you know, now that I know what they put in those things, I understand why my body kept saying no, you know. But it's simply that there's so many things that they put in our foods in order to preserve it, or for whatever reason, that is not harmonious to our system. And as we stop putting those things in our body can finally be in a place of balance where it's healthy and can do the things that it needs to do. And just like a caterpillar in a cocoon, we do need a lot more rest right now. And that element of shame that I experienced anyway, of like feeling guilty about being lazy or something, and just noticing,
yeah, right, you're not productive enough.
Yeah, that's not something we're not being lazy. Just be gentle with yourself. This is the best advice I can give.
Yeah, especially for this period right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of addressed the food stuff, and Lisa has some questions. Yes, strange pain in hips and lower back, plus chest pain. Wake up at 3 a.m. every night. Tingling type of pain, and it doesn't last long. Yeah, like I also had this joint pain, especially in my hips and knees, like during the summer. Like it was very severe, but it also kind of passed after a time. But yeah, like waking up during 3 a.m., I don't think it's necessarily like an Ascension symptom type. It's just like that's when our pineal gland is the most active, basically. And that's when the weird stuff happens during the night. Yeah, like many stuff can happen, like you're traveling or you receive visits. And basically, yeah, like just in a nutshell, like weird stuff happens during 3 a.m. and afterwards a bit.
Yep. I usually get the 333. The 3:33 in the morning is my almost always. If I wake before then, I'm like, why am I awake now?
It's not that magical number.
The chest pain, I've been getting it a lot too, right here. It feels like almost muscular, like the chest pain. I mean, it's separate from which is the heart palpitations, another common one that I've been getting. Some of them are really intense. You're just like, oh, ow, like your heart is like, I could feel it down in my lower rib cage a few times with the heart palpitations. But this right now is a separate thing. It's like a muscular pain right here, like right above the heart.
Yeah, like we're also talking about the irregular heartbeats. Like sometimes you feel like when you're like very present and aware, you kind of feel like that it kind of like stops for a few seconds, then like goes back again. Or like, I don't know, like, yeah, like Jacaranda Marie said that she had that, I don't know, like when you're going to have a heart attack, it has like a stranger rhythm. I'm not sure. I don't know how to mimic it. I don't remember it. But I also experienced that, like that strange rhythm just coming back again and again. I'm like, oh my God, like what is happening? Like I'm going to get a heart attack or something.
Yeah.
And I also had like before my awakening in 2012, like I was at a very low point in my life, for example. And I had like severe heart problems in that period of my life. Like even when I was like laying down, my heart was like racing just as I was like running or something. I couldn't go up to the second floor without like stopping halfway to rest a bit. Yeah. I was like 21 or 22. And I went to like 2 heart doctors or cardiologists, I think that's what you call it. And they did like all the tests with machines and blood tests, and like everything was fine. But why? Even the doctor was like, but she doesn't understand. Like, why is my heart reacting the way it does? Like, it doesn't make any sense to her. So yeah, like when your analysis and physical examinations don't turn up anything, then most likely it's some kind of emotional stuff or this ascension symptoms, basically.
Exactly. Oh, the headaches. The headaches have been a big deal. Not just headaches, but activation in like we were talking about this with Jacaranda Maria, but not too long ago. We have this thing where we actually physically can't feel the upper part of our head, like that's, and also our elbows, which is kind of interesting. But unless you touch it or something is happening with that. And so the headaches go along with that. It's not just painful experience of a headache, which is really common right now, but also just feeling the tingliness of it, feeling an activation of it. Like most of the people I talk to, when something is happening or they're being validated about something or whatever, they'll feel a tingly, itchy feeling on the top of their head. And that's kind of cool. But it is alarming feeling. Like sometimes it feels like someone's tapping me on the top of my head. Like I'll just be like, yeah, I'll be sitting, late at night, I'll be on my computer and then
someone's like playing the piano on your head.
Yeah, it feels like someone's really just
touching your head with their fingers.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt, but it's definitely alarming because,
Is there someone else in the room?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
That segues to something else too that's been a common ascension symptom. I've been experiencing it. And once I said something on my channel, that's mostly what I do is I talk about ascension symptoms. So I get a lot of input from a lot of people, which is so helpful for me. It's so validating. I love hearing that. It's like, okay, I'm not crazy, but because I even though I know that I still have that part of my head, it's like, am I just, off my kilter? But is wow, I lost my train of thought.
Now you're gathering a lot of knowledge about Ascension symptoms from people.
Yes. And I was going to talk about a specific symptom, and I forgot what I was going to talk about. I'll remember it later. But
Okay.
thank you so much for that. All of you who follow my channel, that's been very helpful. And I really appreciate that community that's formed there.
Yeah, like I will include her link to her channel in the comment section or also in the description after we have finished the session right now. And until then, like people are saying sleep issues and the ringing in the ear, like we kind of addressed that too. But regarding the sleeping sessions, I think we have talked about it like last week, that in the past few days, like the middle of the last week or something like that, we all felt like this strange agitation which like comes from out of nowhere, basically.
Yeah.
And also like persisted during the night. Like I very strongly felt it last week. And I was like having difficulty sleeping I was like kind of, I don't know, like on the edge or like something. Yeah. I was like very agitated for some reason. Like I had no logical reason to be, because nothing really happened. But I just had that feeling always. Also, my heart was racing like this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and this was very interesting to hear that you were also experiencing this on the other side of the planet.
That's so awesome too, because comparing notes in such a far distance in the same time. And for me, it felt like an anxiety of like almost an impending doom, kind of like
like something is going to happen or something similar.
Mm-hmm. But it's happened before enough that I'm able to kind of understand that it's not me. It's not, I used to think it was a warning. That was actually my first real prominent Ascension symptom, honestly, years ago. I was close to being willing to be medicated for anxiety. And then I didn't know what the word, I had never heard the word empath in the way that it actually means before that time. And that was my first little shoe in the door of, oh, this is something else, because it just comes out of nowhere. All of a sudden you just feel anxious and freaked out and like nervous and yeah, the heart and discomfort. And I used to feed into it and try to understand it. And while I tried to understand it, I fed fear into it. And all that did was make it worse. And so now at this point, know that it's not you. It's not your experience. Breathe. You're okay. You're feeling something outside of you, and you're going to be just fine.
Yeah, and we really need to like be very aware of ourselves, like what comes in and what is our stuff basically, and what is other people's stuff. Like feeling this agitation or discomfort or fear or something which is not necessarily yours, but you're like bringing it inside of your being from someone else. That's like the more okay and manageable stuff, but it can like really go into an extreme, like you getting sick or like someone else is sick around you and you like drag that into your being, that sickness. And it can also have like physical symptoms too. So you can like I don't know, like I don't know what you call it in English, but there are these older types of healers, like the traditional, I don't know, like these folk tales talk about healers that like take away the sickness of other people and they heal it inside of themselves. Like I don't know what you call them in English, but we had those here, and that's like a super unhealthy and not a good way of dealing with the situation. Like you shouldn't take it away from nobody, basically, especially that you're making yourself sick with it. So that's like not good. Like in our traditions, it says that you have these healers, and I know, like if someone was like dying or very sick, they took it away from them, and they were like working for years on end to heal that sickness inside of themselves.
Right.
So that's a very old-fashioned way of doing this.
Yes.
Yeah, like you should just bring in the energies and like give it to who needs it, and that's all you need to do, basically.
Right.
Let them do the healing part.
Right. I used to make the mistake as a teenager, and I didn't exactly know fully what I was doing, but what I had been doing was I would take it from somebody and then direct it at the earth. for her to dispel it and do what she needs to do. But even doing that, I would take on some of it, you know, and by taking it from somebody, it there's better methods of it, like you said, just sending healing to them instead of taking something from them.
Yeah, like because you're like dragging down your own energy too.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what kind of I learned in the beginning. Like I was guided to an astrologer in my first months of awakening, basically, where I had no clue about empathic abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And when I just entered the room and the guy just stopped and like, okay, like you're an empath and you have to learn how to deal with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like that's kind of the first step, because yeah, like you're an empath, you take stuff from people so you can like tap in very easily to different sources of energy, and you make it your own, and then you give it back. So it works both ways, basically. So maybe if someone is in very low point, they're, I don't know, like sick or desperate or in fear, and you take it onto yourself, and then you send it back amplified to them.
Yeah.
So basically you double their trouble.
Right. And that's something that's really notable and awesome about us, like all of us. Anybody who's listening to this is there, whatever point you are on your journey. If you're here, you're there. And one of the things, we could walk through a shopping mall and not talk to, look at, or interact with any other person, and simply walking through that space and sharing that physical space with them, we send them the light. It's like that's why we're called lighthouses. We're this beacon, and it just, and it sends out to them, and it assists everyone. It helps everyone raise their vibrational frequency. And that's all we have to do. It doesn't, I struggle still sometimes translating the spiritual realm and kind of putting it into the physical experience that we have. Because in a physical way, we talk to that person, we direct them, we do something specific to that person. But you don't have to. Simply being your natural self, just being you're helping everyone around you. That's all you have to do. You don't even have to do that, but just do it naturally.
Yeah, like if that is who you are and you're true to yourself, then that's basically what you're emitting constantly and sharing with others too. And everyone who is open to it will receive those codes. And everyone who is like rejecting you or don't want anything to do with you, then probably they won't, I suppose. Okay, but Ramnock had a great thing to share. It felt like there was beings putting plates and screws going into my brain. This makes me worry about trying to make me into an AI. They have set up a container over my mind where dreams and bad feelings get stuck. So you could try to like dissolve it with the violet flame. Have you ever tried maybe doing violet flame meditations, dissolving all the density, fear, doubt, and everything that is of lower nature? Yeah, like you could try to do it for many days, like every day. And you can also consciously send it to these parts where you feel that there is something that needs to be healed or fixed, basically. And the more you do it, the clearer you will be. And the violet flame assists you in clearing and also healing as well. So that's what I would highly suggest in that case. Okay, and okay, I'm back. So Ramnock. Get trapped and I fight for control of my thoughts and have a lot of stuck negative emotions. Okay, so the higher vibrations is coming back and you're back. Hello. Okay, so Anna, my anxiety is getting out of control. The pain in my heart is horrible. I have asked the angels for help because I feel like dying. Okay, so what would you recommend higher vibrations?
The asking the angels for help is always an important thing. That's something that because of the law of free will, they cannot help us with unless we give them permission by asking. When you ask, help will always be given. this experience that we're going through right now is painful and scary. You know, it's not completely painful, but maybe just uncomfortable. But it's more of like growing pains. You're gonna be okay. It's the only thing I can really suggest is just what I've done, and that has been to call on the angels in a place of meditation and give them permission. And by asking, as that happens, understanding occurs in that space. And in that space of understanding, then it seems like part of my difficulty is my logical mind trying to figure it out and assuming the worst case scenario is fact. It's temporary too. That's the main thing that I always need to remember, is that it feels like this is how it's going to be forever. It's going to stay this way and they're just going to get worse. And it's not. This is only a stair on the staircase. As we move up and beyond this, we're going to be glad that we went through this. And we're going to be happy that we did it. Not only that, but we would never choose something different. I don't know. What would you have to say?
Yeah, like she also shared some cool stuff. Being a light worker nowadays is too much. I can't work anymore. Yeah, like this is where what we have talked about, resting and like calling it a day basically, and being gentle with yourself. Yeah, like if you feel like retreating or being by yourself, like that's definitely what you should do. Like regardless like how peaceful stuff around is no, I mean how peaceful we are in our surroundings, regardless, like if you're doing we are here, for us it's very difficult to be here because like it's super chaotic here. Like everyone you meet has their own problems, health issues, and you have the collective issues too, and we're like working with those stuff constantly, and that's training basically. Like it takes up quite a bit of energy in our parts, even if it's not conscious. And it's like super important to do self-care, to do maintenance on yourself. And that, yeah, like that's the only way like we can navigate this. Also try working with the violet flame as much as possible. Like it's a super easy to use tool, energetic tool for transmutation. And also, yeah, like you have said, you were calling upon the archangels for assistance. Like combine the two, that's superb. And then it's super effective, especially if you do it like consistently on a daily basis. Then like the whole effect like just builds each layer on the other and becomes stronger and stronger. And you're like peeling away all that excess debris that's just deposited on you during the days, during the weeks, and especially the past few years.
Yeah.
And yet, as you have set high vibrations, it's going to fade away with time. It's all temporary. And yeah, like do as much self-healing too as possible. Like we're always reminded of it when we become like sick, like we always do. We always want to do so many things, and at a certain time your body says like, okay, like it was enough.
Yeah.
You're going to bed, you're going to be sick, and you're going to rest for at least 2 weeks, right, until things get settled.
And that's the big thing too, is that we are all natural givers. We are givers. We're not, I mean, I don't know about everybody here, but in my experience anyway, I struggle at accepting anything from anyone else. It's simply, I am the giver of all things when it comes to and so when I put myself in a social situation, I am quickly exhausted, not only because I'm in that space with those people, but I am giving the whole time that I'm there. I don't know how not to. That's just how I am. And it felt selfish, and it felt, I don't know, like wrong to retreat and to take care of myself. But it's not. It's as I take care of myself, I'm also taking care of the other. You know, the big message I get all the time because of that is that if I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of anyone else. If I don't ensure my own well-being, I won't have anything to give. You know, and that includes self-love. And self-love comes from self-forgiveness, whether or not we realize there is something to forgive. there's a bunch of beautiful meditations regarding that. Speaking of meditation, I wanted to say before I forget, Guardian on his channel also has a couple of violet flame meditations that were really helpful for me. There was this one that we did on live that you had translated into another one, that I have suggested to a lot of different people in this new experience of the violet flame. It's something, if you've not done it before, it's very helpful to have like a foundation or a starting point. And that's a really good video if you're interested.
Yeah, like it's very funny. Like I just recorded a violet flame meditation for this weekend.
That's awesome. Perfect.
It just came together.
Wonderful.
Okay, so Ramnock. Yes, I've tried violet flame and I tried more. I get retribution on me when I try it though. Like what, how do you refer? I mean, do you refer as retribution? Like, do you feel like, I don't know, like in the beginning when I used the violet flame, I feel these like jolts or like stuff or like rearranging inside of my body. Like I'm a very drastic person, and I was very drastic with my healing also. Like I had a lot of healing to do myself, and I wanted to get through it as quickly as possible. So I went all in also with the violet flame and also the eternal fire, and they had like very strong effects over my physical body too, like shaking, and it's almost like electricity going through your nervous system. So I don't know if you're like referring to that. But like, yeah, like the more you do it, like that's kind of the side effect of like, think of it as like you have energetic pathways in your body, and those are like blocked, and you bring in this huge energy that's like pushes everything out, and this retribution or this side effects that you experience are basically like these gates or these blockages are being like pushed out and forced out of your body and your system. And the more clearing you do, the less you will feel those basically. And after a time, it will like completely disappear too. You won't have those effects anymore. So I'm getting better now on focusing on calm and peace and not feeling in my body, which agitates the head feelings. It's been a month and a half now since I had the experience of stuff inserted in my head. Oh, well, at least it's starting to become, I mean, I like you're leaving it behind, so that's good. Yeah, like the more clearing work you do on yourself, the less likely it will be like unwanted stuff coming back into your field, because you're like cleaning every day, and as you're cleaning every day, you're like raising your vibration, you're becoming more healed, and the more healed you are, the less likely it is for something to intrude upon your field.
And you can see that in someone's aura. Like when you see someone's aura, you know that it's all around us. And then when the parts where there's a dip, that's the area that there's some kind of injury or struggle or pain. And when that's occurring, that aura field is less capable of protecting your space in that. And those are the areas where most often something invades or occurs with that for a time. And it's not something that is forever. It's simply that we can basically need to say no and stand in our no, you know, and work on the self-healing aspect. I do want to say I relate to this experience. Something similar happened to me about 2 years ago. And it came along with some pretty severe headaches. That was just so intense. And then this is the most notable part, because headaches are headaches and, you know, who knows kind of thing. But then I noticed slowly across the center of the top of my head, I started to get like a space. There was like a canal where I could physically put my fingers, and other people noticed it also. I had them touch it and could put their fingers in it. And then I started to do more of this healing stuff on myself. I never had done that before, healed myself. I was always helping everyone else. And it closed back up very quickly. Like, and it's gone now. Like I don't have that ravine anymore in my head. And it was simply just focusing on it, allowing myself. And that was where I first started that self meditation stuff about forgiving self, and then was able to have self-love. And with that self-love, the love heart chakra space was able to expand. I do remember the other symptom that I meant to talk about, but I don't have to say it now.
You can't say it now?
I can't. It's the throat chakra stuff. The throat chakra activation that's been occurring for some time now. It's been a couple of years, really, but a lot of people are noticing mouth or throat related struggles, like and almost like sometimes when I'm speaking, I will find that it almost feels like I'm being choked off. You know, a lot of times, let me rephrase that. For a lot of lifetimes, we have been taught or conditioned that if we tell the truth, our truth, and be authentic in ourselves, there will be some kind of retribution. There will be some kind of backlash. You know, a lot of us have some pretty horrific end of life experiences in our past lives as a result. And now we are in this space where it's time to speak your truth in whatever way that you can. As these communities are sprouting up all over the internet, YouTube and other places, we are able to connect to one another and able to finally, at long last, speak our truth and be our authentic selves. And as that's happening, there's a struggle. Some people are having dental and oral trauma, or like I had it where my teeth shifted. Like my teeth just, it was the strangest thing. And a lot of other people said the same thing happened to them. And I just wanted to relay that because it's such a common experience right now. It's 144,000. Anyway, and say synchronicities is another really common Ascension symptom, by the way. So
like, is that like a symptom, or that just fun, confirmations?
It's something everyone's talking about and saying it's one of their, I would say anything that is an experience that validates our ascension is considered an ascension symptom. It could be a physical or spiritual or even an intellectual thing. A lot of aha moment kind of stuff is also a symptom of being in ascension.
Yeah. Also, there are awesome validations, all those numerological stuff. So Enrique asked, will the violet flame help with panic attacks? Or what other medication would you suggest? Yeah, like it would definitely help with it. Yeah, like I think someone mentioned higher up above on the chat box, like salt baths. You also use smudging sage, high vibrations. Yeah, like I have sound bowls, like I was in a very deep, low state in the past year. Yeah, 2021 was very hard on me too. And I ordered some sound bowls and bells, and they're like, you work with them for like, I don't know, like 15 minutes, and like it puts you back on track. But also the cool thing about like the violet flame is the more you do it, the easier you can access that vibration inside of yourself. So even if, I know, you're out shopping or you're out meeting friends or people, you can still do it. Like you can still, I know, like circulate the violet flame inside of yourself. And also you can like extend it to other people, transmuting the whole situation. And also, especially if you're in a very difficult situation or in an uncomfortable, I don't know, like social interaction or something similar, you can like transform it with that. Although that's like a bit more advanced stuff. First, you kind of have to get used to how it works, so it comes very easy to you. And after that, yeah, like definitely, like I suggest experimenting with it. Like, which are the situations in which you can actually use it?
Right.
And you don't always have to like super focus on holding the violet frequency vibration. Like you can set an intent, especially if you work with your guides and archangels, to, okay, like I'm starting the process, then please hold the energies while I'm doing something else or something similar. Like you can be very creative with it.
Yes. And also, I'd like to point out the use of the other colors of flames. Specifically for me and my anxiety-related experiences, the stuff when the anxiety comes, I find that using a golden flame that then slowly brightens into a white helps me more. I don't know, everyone's different, but for me in that experience, it usually will end up being a rainbow, where I have there's a liquor or two of each color of the rainbow involved. And it's just, everyone's different. And I guess what I suggest, if I had to suggest something, is to say to use use a flame and start it in your heart center. Notice that spark of flame there in your heart, and allow it to be whatever color it needs to be. It doesn't need to be a specific color. It will become what it needs to be for you in that moment, whatever it is that you need.
Yeah, like also when you're like using the violet flame, like people mention that it changes its hue a bit, like it can become bluer, a bit pink, more violetish, or I don't know, like indigo, deeper blue. Some people said like it turned from blue into like green after a time too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. Like it has its own consciousness and awareness. And just the single thing that you have to do is like set an intent, like, okay, like please help me with this, and focus on maintaining that energy and just let it do its thing basically. And when like it's shifting its color or its movement, it's, I don't know, like it's rotating clockwork or counterclockworks, or maybe just flowing up or down, or it comes through like a stream that is washing away everything. Yeah, like just observe it and see what it's doing, because like you need in that situation a specific thing, and the violet flame or the sacred fire just adapts that situation, so it changes its color, its flow, its rotation, or whatever it needs to assist you in that situation basically.
Right. Exactly. And the more that I've used the flame, meditation therapy, I guess is what I'm going to call it.
Oh, it's therapy.
Yeah, it's like physical therapy in some way. The more that I've noticed my core temperature dropping, more and more, like as a standard. And I don't know if that's exactly related to it, but that's something that is
during the meditation, or just in general?
Just in general, like it's, and I don't know what it's like where you live in your country, but here in the area I live in, whenever you go into any building right now, they take your temperature, and they've been doing that for 2 years, because it's very reminiscent of that I Am Legend movie, or where like all the people are turning into zombies or whatever. Anyway, and so I'm very aware of my temperature all the time right now, and even in the summer, my temperature the standard is a couple of degrees below standard. It's and they always say something, are you cold? Yeah, but I'm not.
Yeah, like I don't like my core temperature, what it's exactly, but I kind of tolerate cold very well. And also, even like it's very hot outside, my skin is very cool for some reason. Yeah, but during meditations, when you do that healing, do you like warm up during those events maybe?
Yes, I feel like I am. My body feels that way. Like as we've been talking about these things, I've been kind of tapping in. I actually took off my socks because I noticed I was like heating up a bit, like, and it's just, if that's actually Ascension symptom, I want to point out too, by the way, is the hot, cold flash kind of stuff. People are having a lot of random out of the blue sweats and stuff. I've been having that too. I actually thought I was going through really early menopause for a bit there, because of a lot of these things sound like menopause. But I'm not, and but I do notice that, though. It feels like I am, and then being right now, it's in the winter, I'll be outside and I'll start to meditate, and then all of a sudden I start to see the steam coming off of my body. Like, it's kind of cool looking, but it doesn't seem like it's a thing you can test, though. It's an internal experience. Who knows? But it's fascinating.
Yeah, like also when I do like my meditations, or when I do like channeling or healing, I feel like my body like heats up very much. Like I know, like I did a few 2-hour channeling sessions in the past month, and after 1 hour, I was like sweating.
Yeah.
I guess my whole system was working overdrive, or I don't know.
Right.
Like it doesn't feel tiring, but I guess like our nervous system, I know, like
Mhm.
works overtime.
Right.
I'm not sure how it works completely.
Well, it's like we're turning on all these different mechanisms inside ourselves that have been dormant for so long. And as we're learning to use them, it's definitely, I mean, that is the law of, I don't know, physics, right? As we turn things on, it creates a temperature change. What's something else is fascinating, I want to point out really quickly, light is cold, right? That's why when we experience a spiritual kind of thing, or even in the horror movies, they talk about it when there's a ghost or whatever, it's always the temperature goes down. That the cause for that is that light is cold. And as we're bringing in this light, we're bringing in a lower temperature space. And so for us to drop in our core temperature, I think this also has to do with bringing in more light, and absorbing and containing, and also giving out this light, and as that happens, the more that I notice I'm pushing out the light and sending it, the more that technical difficulties occur, where like computers stop working, and my phone, I can touch my phone and I watch it like it's charging, and I'll touch it and it'll go 5% more, like I can make my phone charge a little bit on
Like putting it
accident.
in the microwave.
No. Yes.
Yeah, like I also heard this core temperature thing, like from some kind of researchers, that like people who have like alien abduction experiences or like have contact with ETs have in general a lower bodily temperature for some reason. It's very strange too.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
That's
Hello, Yolanda. Thank you for joining us. I haven't seen you in quite some time. Okay, so we're going to close soon. So if anyone has anything awesome to share or any questions, then please do so.
I would like to reiterate something, that this is a temporary thing. These experiences that we're going through, there's no reason to be alarmed or afraid. It's beautiful. Like what's happening with us and through us is amazing, and it's something worth doing. As we do this, it's not simply that we've all already ascended before. We came here from a space where we are already educated in this way, and what we are doing is we're bringing our space to this higher frequency in order to bring others to that space. We've come to create like a bridge. That's something I've been talking about for quite a while, Guardian. I'm sure you remember I talked about it a lot, but we are this bridge, and we're bringing this space for others to come. And it's not the most easy thing to do in this form, but it is so worth it. And I am so proud and grateful and happy to be sharing this journey with so many of you. And I just want to say thank you for your service. I know it's not easy.
No, it's not. It's also very cool. Like I had conversations with people who are not spiritual, but kind of our same age group or something similar. And they also were like talking about the same thing, that, okay, like you had the old way of doing stuff, like the old mentality, and we have something new that is like very not defined yet, but we're in this like difficult position between like two worlds,
Yeah.
because like we are transitioning into something that is not clear to us yet,
Yeah.
and we're like very much struggling with it, because like it almost feels like I know, like starting from zero. Basically, we have to like reinvent the wheel, how things should work, basically. But yeah, like just as you said, like we all have that knowledge inside of ourselves. Like I don't know, like if I shared it in the last channeled message, or it's going to be for the full moon channel message, I don't remember. But like the Syrians are talking about it, like okay, like you are coming back from timelines where Earth has already ascended and all of this has already happened. And you already know like how that is and how that functions and how did that happen basically. And you came back to this time to like start the process to get back there again.
Right.
Creating a new reality basically.
Yes. And, you know, you just said something that reminded me of something that the past, I don't know, week or so, I don't know, it seems to me we have gotten to new territory. Like, you know, where all this other stuff felt like stuff we'd already done, but we just hit this space where it's new. It's like, oh, this part I don't have a map for. Like, whereas before I didn't really know it logically, but I felt that okay, that slight familiarity to it. All of a sudden now I feel like we are in this new place. It's like, okay, we haven't been this far in the video game yet. You know what I mean? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, like it's kind of similar with Atlantis. Like they haven't reached that specific, I know, like the tipping point when like the ascension of the collective was like assured, and from that point, like everything just went down basically. Yeah. And we passed that point basically. But I think even in our lifetimes, probably even in the past few decades, there was like this iffy feeling like, okay, like, are we going to make it or not? Like we're going to go down or maybe we're going to ascend. Like, I don't know. But I think like it was like the tipping point was in this 2012 period. That's kind of what I feel. And also other people are talking about that. Like that's when the collective decided like, okay, like we had enough of this old crap and we're like going to move into new earth because we explored that old stuff again and again, and we want something new, basically, or we had enough of it already.
Right.
And that's also when the dark forces started to reveal themselves.
Yeah.
Openly, like, okay, like the gloves are off, people, and we're going to like hammer home our plans, and we're going to show ourselves. But the only thing that they have done basically is like expose themselves even more and like wake up even more people. So it was kind of counterproductive in a way. But the only reason they are there is to like activate us and like to push us in a direction that we wouldn't gone otherwise, basically. Like being this like huge catalyst for growth, because the only growth happens when you're like outside of your comfort zone. If you're in a comfortable position in life and you have everything that you need, then you don't really want to move out of that phase or to try something else. But when you're like pushed to do it, then like growth happens and you explore new things and discover who you really are and what you're capable of.
It's like, remember Y2K? Do you remember Y2K?
No.
Did you lose me? My internet connection is unstable. That is something that's happening in my part of the world right now. My phone, internet, all this stuff is like unpredictable. So I apologize. But yeah, the 1999 Y2K thing was when, for me, in my experience, was when I started to see all the darkness in our world. Like I didn't realize exactly. And then when it came to that digital world, all of a sudden a lot came forward, and it has continued to do so. And the whole point of this is supposed to be that it's a trickle, because because I know a lot of us have known all these things for a long time, and we're just waiting for the revelation of like, yeah, these things are real, these things are happening. But if that happened in the way we want it to, the way we feel like it should, with like a swell of like theatrical music, then not as many people will have the chance to come. The whole point is to awaken and bring along as many souls as possible. And so, yeah, it causes us to need.
Okay. Yeah, like I also kind of got the same picture, like
need to be patient.
Okay, but I wasn't patient.
You lost me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what we were saying about, like I also want to say, like I also got the same picture basically, Like we're so like frustrated, like why don't people see it already? Or we've done this work already like 10 years ago and we know all these things, and why don't people wake up already? And like I kind of got this image like, okay, like the single reason why this process is like dragged out so much, because like they want as many people unplugged from the matrix before the whole system goes down, basically. Like when, if you're like completely like hooked into the system and that's all your life, and when that system goes down, then you're pretty much going to sink with the ship too.
Just like in the Matrix, remember when Neo he's like, oh, he's gonna pop. You know, it's the same concept. People need to slowly reveal this information themselves. Remember when they were like, hey, UFOs are real. I was expecting when that happened, everybody would be like, oh no, really? And make it big. They're like,
Like
yeah.
no one
Everybody
cares.
was just like, yeah. I'm like, really? I mean, no big anything. It was like, yeah, we know. Okay, but that's what it's supposed to happen, because that's a harmonious, gentle lifting of the spirit. And that's what all this is. And as long as we can remain in a place of love, we're doing what we need to do. And it will happen. It will come, you know.
Yeah, like MJ Thompson just asked something. I had a legion of demons enter into my thought, my crown chakra. I had to have an exorcism done. Yeah, like this is where protection comes in. Also, like we talked so much about the violet flame. Like that's great for clearing all that stuff out of your field. But yeah, like do protection work each day. And also, who wrote that? Wolf Gray, MJ Thompson. Is your name Mike? Like you should definitely work with Archangel Michael to protect you from those energies.
Yes.
And also, yeah, like ask him to remove stuff. Like he's, I don't know, like the archetypal cosmic force for protection and removing nasty stuff from your life experience. So start working more consciously with Archangel Michael, ask for his assistance during your meditations at first, if that's more okay with you. And later on, you can just ask for his help, I don't know, during the day when you're doing the dishes or whatever, to remove any and all interfering forces or intruders or anything that is not there to benefit you, and ask for his protection. And that's kind of how you can filter out the unnecessary stuff or the things that you wouldn't want to have in your life. So Geodend, okay, beautiful name. Could you speak on twin flames connections? I feel these experiences is an effect of connecting between twin flames, disturbing our connection through doubt and nightmares. Yeah, like so you want us to talk about like so the dark forces are working on basically hindering us from finding our other counterpart, basically. Do you want to talk about this higher vibrations, or you want to me to address it? Also, Beatrix, hello from Hungary, hello from Transylvania.
There's before I forget, the previous person, the comment about Archangel Michael, I would like to point out really quickly. For me, early on, what really helped was to bring in that electric blue color when calling in Archangel Michael. I am a very visual person, and color is color is a thing about me, and that really helped to like bring that in and to like have it like touching my skin and even like visualizing it going into my skin, and to give me that lift of that protection, and then I felt like I was more empowered in order to move on to the next step. That was my early use of that. I wanted to point that out. You wanted me to talk about the twin flames, is that what you said?
Yeah. I also want to add with the blue flame stuff. I also have like I don't know, like I think I have like 2 light language activations with the blue fire. It's Archangel Michael's activation, and also I do very similarly what you do with the blue energy. Like I kind of visualize and feel myself like merging with the energies of Archangel Michael, like he embody, like his energy is inside each cell of my body, basically. And he's like protecting me on all fronts and on all levels, and each little fiber of my being separately too. And yeah, like I felt very powerful and very effective ways. Like I visualize myself or feel myself becoming him. I don't know if like this makes sense to anyone, but it's very effective. You can try it out.
We are all one, all of us. And so it makes complete sense. We all came from source, and then we're just set
Yeah, like we are fractals of the bigger picture, basically.
separation of, but we're still connected. And
Okay. Let's hope you come back higher vibrations.
okay. Yeah, so we are all, I can hear you. I can hear you just fine. You can hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Sorry.
Oh, it's perfectly all right. Yeah, like, so you wanted to address twin flame connection and like dark forces trying to hinder us like finding our other counterpart, basically.
There's a lot of different understanding with the twin flame thing, and early on I thought I was given the misunderstanding that twin flame meant you're happily ever after. This is the person that is like your I don't know, soulmate is a different word, a different thing than a twin flame. A twin flame is something that another person that activates us. And how it works out, again, it's talking about separating, right? We are just the closest together from that point of separation in the fractal souls, and we push off of each other. Finding your twin flame is something, there's not just one either, and some twin flames are meant to be a romantic experience for you. Some are meant to activate you from afar. I have had 3 twin flames in my life, and I know that some people can think of some of them as what you would call, some people are calling it a false twin flame. And that is probably a misconception of the belief system that means that person's going to be your happily ever after. They're going to cause you to have to work hard. They are going to mirror you and make you it's going to not be easy, as Guardian knows, you know, and like
you think to live with your twin flame. Like I think now next year is going to be like 10 years that we are together, and it was not an easy ride. So
congratulations.
We're both difficult personalities. Yeah, like, and basically like just as you said, like it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship. Like people feel this attraction, and that's not necessarily that it's going to be a romantic relationship. You just have this super deep connection, and maybe you haven't felt that with anyone before that too. But I've seen people share their experience that they also thought that it's going to be like a romantic relationship, and after like a while it just didn't make any sense to them, or they were like rejecting the whole thing, and they had to like realize like, okay, like maybe this was not the way we were meant to like interpret this whole thing, our relationship. And after that, their relationship completely changed and reached a new balance. But yeah, like just as you said, it's not necessarily your happy ever after, because you come together to do a lot of work. So it's a lot of work being together, because you're like constantly like mirroring each other. Like if something's wrong with you, that other person will feel it. Like if something's wrong with them, you will feel it. And it's, I know, like with us, it's very similar to like when everything is okay, then it's superb. But like if there's like a little problem with the whole system, then it hurts like hell. Like it's like, I know, like maybe someone said something that was a bit rude, and I know, like it upset me or her, and that little problem that maybe like other couples wouldn't even notice or consider as like causing real problems in the whole system.
Right.
It's like throwing the wrench between the cogs or something similar.
Right.
That's also very great, because like that little thing happened and now it's brought up and you resolve it, then move on. So you don't like accumulate all that crap basically between the two of you. But it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not for everyone.
No. And what it looks like in the spiritual way is that these two souls are like, they come together, and you know, you want to go here, but you're kind of going this way. And then as these two souls meet, they push up against each other, and it's not fun. You're pushing back and forth, but it's making you go up, which is the goal. Yeah, but it's not fun. And then you can also have those, your twin flame can be your child. It can be a parent. It can be a grandparent or an old elderly neighbor that you associate with in some, like it could be a lot of different individuals in your life. It's not always a romantic situation.
But we're not experts, at least I'm not.
Right. This is the limited information I have. I'm not an expert on anything that I've discussed. This is just my experience.
Yeah, like this is all that we have experienced and like figured out so far along the road, basically. Yeah. Like we also came in blind and we're just figuring stuff out as we go along.
Right. Definitely.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, High Vibrations, for sharing your wisdom and kindness. And yeah, like thank you for joining us. And hopefully, yeah, like I'm going to share this Sunday the Violet Flame meditation. We have talked so much about it, and I did the video today. So it was like a very interesting synchronicity. You also have a violet shirt on you too. So many synchronicities with the violet flame. Awesome. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. And